What color would you describe them as?
No,
Yeah.
they ain't like
I say lime sherbet green. How are we all doing? I'm doing fine. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, everyone seems to be enjoying my pants. The color palette that I use to describe them is lime sherbet green. You can have your very own pair by meandering down to Brooks Brothers, and we should all do that. When we come back from spring break, everyone should be in lime sherbet green slacks, men and women. Speaking of spring break, this is our last class before spring break. I will miss you on Monday. I will miss you on Wednesday. I will miss you on Monday again, and then I will be delighted to see you on Wednesday. I wish you all peace and prosperity and health and happiness in our week or so apart. Anybody going away, doing anything particularly interesting? Going to the southeast with a carnival, a band. What is the name of this band? Sorry? The Sun Hotel. We have fans of the Sun Hotel. And what instrument do you play? We have fan of Sun Hotel. And what instrument do you play?
Drums.
Oh, very good. And what type of venues will you be performing?
Well, actually, kind of ranging everywhere from
House party to a...
house party to a like 500 capacity.
Good for you. Is someone blogging about this experience?
I'm going to be blogging about it every day, kind of make videos for it every day.
Well, let us know. Send me an email where the blog is, and I'll Twitter it out and blog about it and stuff, and let us know. Others? Anybody else doing something fun, interesting, creative, exciting? Yes.
Myself and Tyler and a group of 12 other students.
Hi, Tyler. How are you? Yes.
We're going to Chicago for the Black Student Union community trip.
You're going to Chicago for the Black Student Union trip. Now, what will go on in Chicago?
We have a set of tours that we're taking around the city. So we're doing
Carnivals?
no tours like the Sears Tower tours. We have like special museum trips, and then we have community service. One with the YMCA, and then we're supposed to meet Roland Martin, political correspondent.
Good for you. Well, enjoy yourselves, yes. Chicago is a fantastic city. One of my favorites. Others? Is anybody doing anything? Yes.
City Lark with Will, Ian.
What is the band?
City Lark.
City Lark. Hello, everyone. I'm okay. How are you all? Is this what the problem is? There was a line at the printer.
Yeah, and two of them was down. So.
Two of them was down. City Lark. Who was I speaking to? City Lark. L-A-R-K, like the bird. Okay. And what type of independent rock and roll music does City Lark play?
Folk rock and blues.
Folk rock and blues. What type of covers do you do? If I were to come to a City Lark show, no, what is wrong with this seat?
It's jammed.
Oh.
And I don't want to go to the back. You know, I like, you know.
Well, you could just wheel yourself right on up here if you'd like.
Then I'm gonna teach you class. You're gonna have to
I would like that very much. What do you go ahead, please.
All right. So we're gonna learn about the chasm today. What did it take to get over that chasm?
What?
Anybody? Anybody have an answer? You in the back.
No new skills are improved your life by 10.
Correct.
No, that was fine. Keep going.
Nah, go ahead.
No. You only have about an hour and 10 minutes. Keep going. Twice a week.
We're gonna learn how to write a song up in here. Yeah?
Oh no. Okay. I don't remember that being on the syllabus. Yes. Week 12, songwriting. So, City Lark. What cover would I see? What cover would I hear?
We did Gun 2 by Ryan Adams.
Oh, right now, yes. I tried to sign young Ryan to a publishing deal back when he was in a band called Whiskey Town.
We also do, we normally do a bluegrass jam called Old Joe Clark, kind of rock version of it.
I didn't hear that, but I did hear bluegrass. So
Joe Clark.
Old Joe Clark, sure, yeah. Very good. And where will you be touring?
We don't have anything set in stone right now, but we'll be
Nothing?
playing We'll be playing at Bomb Fest up in Connecticut.
Okay, so that you're driving to Connecticut for a gig?
Have some gigs lined up for me. We're working on that. I'm going to the Googleplex.
Are you really?
Yeah.
What will you be doing at the Googleplex?
They're doing this thing for like 3 days where they invite college and high school students to come and learn about their web programming. And I think we're going to meet with the lady that designs the page. And the reason for why it's just Google, that's square. And two little
Not
lines.
anymore, but it
Yeah,
was.
now there's that little thing that comes up. But yeah, and then I think also they do some stuff with NASA next year. 'Cause, I mean, the way, if you'll ever get a chance to go to Googleplex, it's basically a freeway, and you look over, it's a giant military airfield, a space station, a marine institute, like of research, and then Google's like right in the middle of it. It's really fun.
How did you get invited to the Googleplex?
My sister is a marketer in San Francisco, and she is writing a column on Google, so this particular event, so she got me a ticket.
Excellent. Well, let us know how that goes.
She also goes to NASA.
She also goes to writes about NASA.
No, Macworld.
Oh, Macworld. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm Stan Richardson II, and I just released a bunch of tracks on my Bandcamp for free download.
Stan, I'm delighted that you are sharing this, but at what point in your late coming mind did it appear that we were just giving general announcements?
When I came in late.
Yeah. You're like a child, Stan. You've walked in off the street and you don't have any contact. Lebowski, right? So what we're doing right now, Stan, is we're talking about what people are sort of doing over their spring break.
I got a show in Ohio, but
None of this is good. Now, what will you be doing over your spring break? And now, wait. Before you answer that, you can talk about that, and I bet you could weave your other little message into that. You can stand up again if you. What do you got going on the paper there?
my URL. URL.
No, I'm familiar with the. And it says Stan Richardson II.
As in the second, yes.
Oh, I don't know that people are going to grasp that
Yeah.
intuitively. Yes. Bandcamp.com. And you're writing this on a piece of paper.
I was going to show it.
Oh no, but by all means, absolutely. Visual aids are always essential. Hence the pants. show the thing.
First, my band back home in Ohio is called Subject to Change, and we have a show on April 2nd at the Robin Hood, which is a bar in Kent. If any of you guys are from Ohio.
Canton,
Kent.
Kent,
K-E-N-T.
near where Kent State.
Right, exactly.
A great American tragedy took place at Kent State. Go ahead.
Yes.
Mhm.
But anyway, we have a show there on April 2nd that we're going to be playing, and I also have some solo stuff that I'm trying to line up some gigs for right now. Stan Richardson II is my solo name, and go to my Bandcamp, just search Stan Richardson II. You can download 4 tracks for free. All the tracks I have up there. So
See the way
yay.
you weaved it together? Very nice. Yes, a round of applause for Stan Richardson II. Now, is your father the first, or is it
My grandfather.
your grandfather? Others? Nobody else doing anything exciting? Okay. Some people are saying words with CH in them. Yes,
My name's Ted.
Ted.
I'm going to Texas for spring break, and I just dropped a new single to a big on highvoltagerecords.bandcamp.com.
People love Bandcamp.
Highvoltagerecords.bandcamp.com.
Very good, Ted. Thank you.
And I've heard it is real good single. Check it out. That's what it is.
Now, are you two friends now? Are you guys getting? See, I love this because at the beginning.
Actually, me and him have a song we're going to be doing. It's coming really soon. They're recording. And watch out for the Nobody's Monologues, which is dropping on 4/20.
if you recall, no, it's quite all right. If you recall at the beginning of the semester when we had our little hip-hop face-off, right? There was a moment there where I thought there could have been fisticuffs, right?
See, but you gotta understand. See, that's what the economic.
You did so well with the chasm. Now you're just throwing random words out into the.
That's what the economy needs right now. See, if McDonald's and Burger King came together and made a super burger.
This is what's happened. McDonald's and Burger King have come together and created a super burger. Perhaps we found the name for your little outfit here. Super burger. Yes. But maybe it'd be like SUPA. Super. Yes. It's a lovely scarf you have on, by the way. Yes.
In addition to going to the Black Student Union Unity trip to Chicago, when I come back, I'm from Baton Rouge, or Zachary, if anybody's heard of it. Thank you. And my grandfather, he was the vice chancellor at Southern University, and he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame on Saturday.
Well, that's quite a thing. Yes, very good. The Hall of Fame of Chancellors?
Well, no, it's just Southern University's
I
Hall
see.
of Fame.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, that sounds good. Sounds good. Why do we have a current event on the Clif Bar, Elizar? I'm going to read your current event if that's okay, and then maybe you can help me understand how it's a current event. Is that all right? Gary Erickson is the creator of Clif Bar, an original protein-packed energy bar. Erickson got the idea from how bad a power bar tasted to him while he was riding a 175-mile bike ride. He came up with the recipe with his mom, who taught him how to bake. They made $700,000 in their first year. Gary Erickson runs the company with his wife. They recently declined a $120 million offer from the Quaker Company. So what is current about this event? Okay, fair enough. Okay, so it was a good straw you grasped at, and because I'm feeling less grumpy today than last time, I will. You get my point, though, Elizar? Wow. Alfred. Moments ago, you seemed so interested in talking about super burgers and things. Now you've presented this to me. It says 8 foods that fight stress.
Study was done, and it came up with 8 different foods that have been scientifically proven in some instance to reduce stress. Dark chocolate, skim milk, oatmeal, blueberries, like ham. I don't know the others.
That was very good, by the way.
Yeah, blueberry.
Salmon.
Yeah, salmon. Yeah, and
walnuts.
Dark chocolate is walnuts. Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate's on there, yeah.
Yeah, dark chocolate is it contains, I forgot the name of the chemical.
Flavonoids.
Flavonoids.
Yes.
And what it does is
Perhaps flavonoids.
The darker the chocolate, the more flavonoids and more of a sense of bliss that you feel and you just calm. I kind of been knew dark chocolate.
You what?
I already knew that dark chocolate was.
Do you have a lot of stress in your life, Alfred?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
What are you stressed about?
Um,
How old are you?
8.
Oh. What are you stressed about?
No jokes, but first off, I'm black, so.
Okay. Well, I don't think I'll make a joke about that, but go ahead.
I'm trying to do my music, like my life. I'm trying to do my music, and I'm trying to do this college thing. I'm really, stressed out.
This would be this class and others.
College
Yes,
in
okay.
general.
Yeah.
Just trying to family problems that I deal with on a daily basis,
Okay.
financial problems, things of that nature. So,
Is a
you know,
BITCH one of them? You like that?
oh, I got it.
So Alfred, you know, good luck with your problems. A lot of it is time management. Obviously, I can't speak to your family stuff. I do know that it is entirely possible to do, as you said, this college thing, a music thing, work a job and all that, and be successful. I do know that's possible because I've done it, and I hope you do too, and I hope your family issues and those things are okay. What is current about this?
The study was done like a week ago.
Oh, I didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, this is good advice. You know, I mean, I don't know how many of us are wandering around eating walnuts, but you know, salmon.
I like dark chocolate.
Yeah. What do you other than eat dark chocolate? What do you do for your stress? Because I imagine you're not the only person that's stressed.
Most of the time, I lock myself in the studio for like
Okay.
7, 12 hours at a time.
Yeah, see, but that may be good to relieve some stress. But if you're in the studio for 12 hours at a time, it probably means you're not doing anything else, and then you get out of the studio and you have stress about those things.
And I skate.
You
Play a little basketball.
skate?
Skateboard.
Roller skate?
No, skateboard.
You don't roller skate? Who else has feeling under stress? Everyone? Okay, let me rephrase it. Who is not feeling stressed? Byron, you're you're not feeling any stress. Explain.
Well, I've gotten to the point, I guess, where I just try to give everything, you know, the maximum amount of effort, and you know, hopefully it works out. And if not, we'll just, you know, maybe that wasn't meant to happen, and I'll just have to try something else.
A very sort of Zen approach. I like that. Yeah. And how did you reach this place?
Well, throughout my life, I've worked a lot of different jobs, doing a lot of different stuff, and you know, I've had to work long hours. I mean, it gets to a point where if you don't take control of your stress, you know,
It will take control of you.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm in school, and everything's pretty much going well for me. So I don't have any complaints.
That's lovely to hear. Anybody else managing their stress in a way that they'd like? Yeah.
No, I'm not managing my stress.
Okay, but you would like to contribute to the conversation anyway.
I'm dealing with it now, but I would like to ask him a question.
Okay.
Byron? Yeah.
Ted.
I find a problem like I come to the point where I accept something that can't happen. Like if I give you my max effort and I just realize it wasn't meant to be, I get to a point sometimes, like say as far as my music, by me grinding so much and not seeing like the results that I want, it's hard for me to accept that it's not meant to be, and that causes more stress. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It might just not be time. I mean, there are people who go through things like that all the time, and it takes years and years to achieve what they want to achieve. So if that's what you really want to do, you just got to stick with it. And you know, you'll know when it's time to try something else, or whether it's just time to maybe, you know, go give a little extra effort than what you've been given. You know, because everybody can get to a point where, you know, you feel like I've given everything I can give, but then sometimes you might have a little extra that you can put into it, and next thing you know, whatever you're looking for, it just might work out.
Perhaps you all should embrace. Yes. It does. Yeah.
It's good for creativity.
Stresses. Well, that's not necessarily stress, but I guess it's stress on some level.
Say under pressure. And then I was
Pressure.
wondering, like, with what you said about being a musician, like realizing that your idea is it gonna kind of follow through with what you thought it was, and I wondered how that was as, because you own a record label.
Mm.
So when you found that a musician's idea wasn't going to work, what was your advice to them? Or I mean, it's just change it. Like if you're at the point of death, as we said, like, but should you can change your whole artistic identity?
No.
No. So
So-
what do you do?
Well, look, I mean, I've seen this sort of pattern over and over again. Call it a hockey stick, right? And there are lots of books on this where probably the best book, and if those of you will have me, if I'm still here, you're still here years from now, is a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And he talks about this concept of the flywheel and the doom loop. And what you have to sort of envision is you're pushing a huge cylinder, or a boulder, or whatever. You put all your weight into it, you finally get that booger to turn over once. Right? Keep pushing it, and all of a sudden that big boulder that took a long time and a lot of effort to turn over once starts rolling on itself. And this moment, these moments through here are pushing the boulder. And I've seen people give up at this point way more often than I'd like. Where I believe, and the reason I know this has happened is because I've seen similar people with similar business models persevere just a little bit longer and the success comes. But a lot of people quit here. And you see startups run out of money, you see people lose interest, you see people get tired, you see people hit a point where they feel like, you know, this just isn't working. And it often is if they could just hang in there a little bit longer, something happens. And we describe that in this class as sort of a tipping point moment, where you just feel like for the longest time you're doing something, and maybe you see a little incremental change, but you don't feel anything happening. Now, prior to, you know, really the last couple years, if you were working in the music business and you were an artist, you were measured by something called SoundScan, right? And SoundScan was a weekly report. When people would buy CDs, the barcode would be scanned, and they'd be reported, and every week you could see how many you sold. 99.9% of the time, you'd have your best week, and those of you not in the music business, this is still relevant, and you'll see why in a minute. You'd have your best week your first week. So you build up, you build up, you build up, you go through all this, the record label does their thing, you do everything you can do, you put it out, and say you sell 5,000 copies the first week or 50,000 or whatever. The second week, almost universally, that number would be cut in half, okay? Sometimes not, but most of the time cut in half, and then the third week, half again. Very, 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 very depressing, frankly, working at a record label where you put all the effort in and you're rewarded for 1 week and then it just goes like this. Movies do the same thing most of the time, by the way. You have an opening weekend and then they go like this. Books do the same thing, right? So what I think that, to speak to some of you guys' questions, what you have to do is start sort of recalibrating your definition of success and start thinking about what it is that's more in your control that can be these little incremental gains so you don't feel, and I didn't draw this exactly right. More often than not, it goes something like this. Okay? And there's this sort of dip period. Because at the beginning, you're very excited, and that excitement and enthusiasm will sort of motivate you and keep you inspired even when nobody's listening. But that initial sort of enthusiasm wanes. It just does. And then you hit what Seth Godin has identified as the dip. And a lot of people stop there. Some people will climb out of the dip, then they get their enthusiasm back again, and then end here, or they go up, right? But so what I'm suggesting is, in an era when we can connect with whatever we're creating, whether we're writing a book, running a business, making music, or whatever, we can and must start connecting directly with our fans, okay? And so, maybe I've talked about this a little bit. I know I've written a lot about it, and I've talked about it in other classes. If you're not connecting with those fans in at least a weekly basis via email, and more often than not through other channels, be it Twitter or Facebook or blog or whatever, you're making a horrible mistake. One, you're making a mistake because you're not developing a channel. You're not developing a distribution channel of your own. Two, you're making a mistake because you're cutting yourself off from potential support structures, right? So you're here and you have 0, okay? You have 0 fans, you have 0 friends or fans on Facebook, 0 email addresses, 0 Twitter follows or whatever, right? So I would really suggest that you all start making a little report card, right? And here's, you know, time period 1, time period 2, all the way on down. And this can be emails, which is the most important. And this could be Facebook, and this could be Twitter, and this could be visits to your site, blog, whatever, Bandcamp, whatever, and then eventually money, right? And this is your new report card, okay? And rather than with SoundScan, you come out and you do this, here you're necessarily going to start at 0. But by period 2, whether that's a week, a month, or whatever, you'd expect there to be something, right? Maybe this is still 0. And by here, maybe it's this. And maybe this is $1. And you start going down, and by time period 200, maybe this is $20,000 or whatever, you know, whatever the number is. The difference is that rather than we've built all this thing into this product, this book, this thing, now we're going to leave it in somebody else's hands, a publisher, a movie studio, a record label, and we're going to watch because we know this happens every time it go like this, and then we're going to go. Every day you wake up, and you should be able to make these numbers grow, even if only by a little bit. And if you can't, then something's wrong with your music, or something's wrong with your marketing, both of which can be improved upon. What does it cost to do any of these things? Right? It costs your time, and it costs your creativity. And one thing I know definitively about this class, and I have lots of questions about this class, but one thing I know definitively about this class is that you're smart and that you're creative. Whether or not you're driven, whether or not you're dedicated, whether or not you're going to use your powers for good or evil, I don't know. Sometimes I think yes, sometimes I think no. Right? But I know you're smart, I know you're creative. So you have the tools that you need to do this. And you have to recalibrate your definition of success. Your definition of success, or one's definition of success, if it is dependent upon externalities, if it is dependent on some tastemaker, a label, a writer, or someone bonking you on the head and anointing you, you will consistently be disappointed. If, on the other hand, your definition of success is, hey, you know what? Today, I'm going to go out and improve my numbers by X. And at the beginning, it is going to seem very, very small. But I promise you, if your music is, as you might say, good, and you do this for some period of time, things will start to happen. You will start getting offers for record deals. You will start getting book publishers saying, hey, we'd like to do this. You will start getting inquiries from managers. If you do not do this, and you just hope that based on your music, and your music alone, or your book, or whatever, that somebody is going to sift through the infinite clutter that exists out there in our world and pluck you out because you're so darn good looking, you will be disappointed. And then you will deem that your music or your art is qualitatively not good enough, and that's the real tragedy, in my opinion. You're relying on external factors to validate you. That's a mistake. Yes?
Virgil, what you just said.
You can't get a what or anything after that?
What you just said was really true because like, when I first started doing this music, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make like this hot ass song, and it's just gonna.
That was my nickname in high school. Hot ass.
I'm gonna make this hot ass song that everyone is gonna really love, and it's just gonna jump on the radio, and then it's gonna be Interscope or fucking some other label will just come up, yo, you're dope, we want to sign you, and I'm not gonna get screwed, I'm gonna make millions of bucks. But then the older I got, like throughout high school, I was like, okay, college and I'm actually learning stuff about the business, it's like, so more of my realistic goals is just to be able to sustain a nice living off of what I do. Maybe I won't ever get signed. Maybe I won't be like a big star. All I would like to do is be able to give music to people. They really like it to the point where when I drop an album, they'll support it.
Let me interrupt you, and I'm glad you've come to that realization. Does anything that I set up here preclude you from getting that deal from Interscope? Does anything up here that I'm saying, if you do it right, make your leverage when and if someone like Interscope comes a-calling better or worse? The more you bring to a table when you get in front of any of these buyers, whether they're book publishers or music labels or whatever, the more you bring to the table, the less they can take away. If you bring nothing to the table, they will take everything away. We think you're very talented. You have no fans. Now, the fact is they're not going to sign you, but every once in a while that miracle does happen. But then you will get the single worst record deal in the history of record deals. Somebody else have a hand up? Yes?
I kind of had a question because I went through arts management. And if an artist can just do strategic planning, not to say that every artist can do it as efficiently.
Most artists cannot, by the way, but go ahead.
I was thinking like that's what I would want to do, like be that the link and the connector. But once I start doing the strategic planning for the artist, how like as you were a manager, did you see that the responsibility fell into your hands more so?
Okay, so here, most artists, and this is not speaking to anybody that's in the program here because I think that they can do it. Whether or not they want to do it, I don't know. But the problem is that when you do this, there's an opportunity cost. There's no financial cost, but there's opportunity cost. That takes away the time that you would otherwise be creating. If you can find somebody like you or like me that says, look, you know, I'm a creative person, I create in other ways, but I really dig this. The same high you get from making music, I get from making plans. And I know that sounds freakish, but it's true, right? So, and your values align, your expectations align, and the artist got to play a role, but they can slowly sort of outsource it. And by the time you get to here, it's too much for the artist to deal with. And it goes back to the sort of team of teams approach of social entrepreneurship. What I just described there can be, imagine, for instance, you've got 20,000 email addresses. Imagine you can get 10% of those people to buy sort of whatever you sell. What's that? How many people is that? 2,000. Okay, I'll save you the math. 2,000 people. Imagine you can ask those 2,000 people, your very, very core dedicated fans, to buy over the course of a year $200 worth of stuff from you. Whether that's a subscription, a ticket, a t-shirt, downloads, or whatever. 200 times 2,000 is what? I'll save you the math. $400,000, okay? That can be done with 2 or 3 people, including the artist. And I know this because I've done it. 2,000 people. What's a platinum record? 1 million. I can promise you there are countless bands that have sold on labels, gold or platinum, and have never received a check for $400,000. Never. I can promise you that there are authors that have sold whatever the equivalent is of gold or whatever, which is probably 10,000 copies, have never seen a dime. Yes, Mike?
To your point, I've seen really the majority of artists, at least if not recently, but in the 90s, especially hip-hop, the artists who would get the biggest deals were the ones that were already proven to sell. I know Master P was like that. He sold a lot of albums.
And they did it outside the system. They built it up through, I mean, it used to be that hip-hop was really, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it used to be that hip-hop was the leading edge of marketing. And everybody else was catching up. I don't know what's happened recently, but it's not anymore. But, you know, things, as you said, in the 90s with mixtapes and some of those things, those were all outside the main system, and the amount of money. And then they would eventually go to Interscope or whatever and say, yes, we would like you to drive that dump truck full of cash. Back that up over here. Others? Does this sound like something you guys can do for whatever it is you're doing? Does this sound possible? Does this sound more realistic than sending demos to some non-existent record label? What about you, Ted? You.
Oh, yeah,
It's your-
I can definitely feel you come from it. It's just, you know, my artists focus, like the artists in my position, focusing on making music, doing my own studio time, producing for my own artists, going to school, you know what I'm saying? Seem like it just, like trying to stay focused on that one thing is hard. Like,
It
everything
is.
else, you know.
Look, artists want the sexy stuff. I'm an artist. I want to make my music. I want to do that. That's all well and good, Dr. Howard. But you know what, dude? I make beats.
Not necessarily,
Okay.
I mean, I'm
Then either
interested.
find somebody that can do that, or better, decide if you want to keep making beats, you're going to do that. And that's the dues that you have to pay. We all pay dues, one way or the other. And you know what's not paying dues? Making lots of beats. And artists think that all the time. I have made so much, I put so much time in this. Yeah, you know, you do that because you love it. Paying dues means doing something you don't love so much. Sorry? You guys are feeling that? Yeah. Feel me? Whitest guy in the world. Do you feel me? Yeah. Anything else? All right. Yes, sorry. You're getting what?
I'm getting started doing some artist management right now, and I'm also a musician myself. And
The best kind of artist manager is the musician, him or herself.
I just wanted to say that there definitely is an opportunity cost involved as far as trying to balance doing my own work and my own preparation musically and getting websites started and getting things built for the artists that I'm managing. But it's very exciting. I should all get started doing that now.
I'm glad you said that. You know, what I've suggested up here is, in fact, graphs and numbers and stuff, which is anathema to a lot of creative people. But embedded in that is creativity. This won't work unless you do it in a creative way. There's an artistry to this. It's why people that only know graphs and stuff, which is essentially the music business, a lot of these business people have come into the music business and said, okay, we're going to run the music business the same way we would run a shoe factory. EMI is the most egregious example of this. And they fail because they don't bring creativity and nuance to it. You can't run the music business like any other business. All right, very good. Let's see. Back to some marketing stuff. I think we remember the consumer journey. Have we talked about that in here a little bit? Well, here's a refresher, right? The key part of the consumer or customer journey is what? What? Repurchase. And repurchase is important because it costs so much time, so much energy, so much effort to gather all of these things and then direct people to your website and get them to buy something. If they buy once and never again, you fail, right? So your journey is awareness. All social media, Web 2.0 stuff is word of mouth. This is social media, word of mouth on steroids. We do things because our friends tell us to. The reason these numbers can grow is because eventually, after you've slogged away and you've gotten 500 Twitter followers or whatever, if you're doing something good, they'll start telling other people, and the burden shifts from you to your fans. And you got to give them fuel. You got to make it frictionless and easy. You got to give the mavens, the early adapters, these tools. But the work starts to spread. Gladwell's number is what? 150 is about what we can organically, naturally do until you need to start shifting that burden. People start going, hey, have you heard this band? Check out this website. So much of this is about sharing. So much of this is about considering our music as that thing that people want to share, which is what? What do we share because it doesn't take anything? Information. We share information because we are not bereft of anything once we do it, and the person we share with has gained something. Make it easy for people to share. Monetize around the music, not the music itself.
So do you think conventional advertising is going to kind of
Conventional advertising is perhaps the most idiotic thing that I can think of, okay? Now, for certain products, I suppose that's not true. I happen to have no interest in any of these products, and I don't know any real people that do either, but I assume they are out there somewhere. I will tell you that since October of 2008, the amount of money that these conventional ads have generated has declined immeasurably as this stuff becomes more effective. This stuff is getting cluttered too, by the way, but go ahead.
I think it's also because people are becoming more educated about like the techniques that advertisers use and sees.
If your friend or an acquaintance talked to you the way that conventional advertisers talk to you, you would punch them in the teeth, right? So it's not so much, you guys like to finish this sentence for me, internet shines a bright light on. So conventional ads are mediocre at best. And now that we see that what we really crave is authenticity, and we really crave a sort of permission marketing and being marketed to and talked to like actual human beings and not little robots, those conventional ads just look really strange. I'm consistently amazed if I'm sitting there watching TV, which I don't do very often, but if I do and some ad pops on, really? You think this is going to do this for me? Yeah.
There's a question. You said that, I mean, obviously, like, conventional advertisement is so saturated that we don't really absorb anything that we watch or that we see.
Well, enough repetition, you can't help it. There's no other reason to explain Lady Gaga, but go ahead.
Like you said about the social media networks kind of also getting saturated, I just wonder like how you should differentiate yourself on those kind of things, because I feel like we're just bombarded all the time with like Facebook fan
We are.
requests or event requests.
We are. And Facebook's got a problem there. I gave a talk. I didn't know it was going to be a talk to this age group, so I'm doing my thing. And I look out to the audience, and I realize these are all little tiny people, not hobbits, but young people. And I'm doing my thing and saying, you got to collect emails and everything. And one of these brave hobbits, I think it was Frodo, raised his hand and said, we don't do email, right? These are high school students, right? And apparently you all don't do email, I hate that verb, until you get into college. And one of the reasons is because all of these people's email accounts are just updates from Facebook. Hey, you got a new friend request, and you just, so Facebook is the new email. Now Facebook's got a problem because there's a lot of bombardment. But I will suggest to you that even amidst that bombardment, when something comes at you that you deeply resonate with, you connect with it. You're able to filter the rest of the crap out and go, that. So you got to make sure you're that, which means you got to make sure you're sitting in it and put it in front of the right person. Does that make any sense? Okay. It seems like you're on an airplane trying to clear the ears or something. Everything all right? Boring you? Okay. So the tools that you can use, some companies that are using Twitter well, and I picked these because they are big companies. And everybody thinks that this is all for small individuals or whatever. But the reason these companies are doing it well, and you should follow them on Twitter, if you're not already, just to learn from them, even if you don't like Twitter, and I get that. Twitter's really for people that are sort of 5 or 6 years older than you are. You should be on it, right? Yes?
I was going to say just like Facebook and Twitter and email, and I feel like those kind of things are follow-up. So you tell somebody you're going to send them a Facebook request or an email, so then they'll look for it. And that's what makes the difference.
I think that's really well said, especially at the beginning stages. At a certain point, it'd be too big to manage. But the more, and it's why, again, and it's a really good point, all of this stuff that I'm talking about happening online, there has to be an offline component. This won't work unless you're also, for most of you in here, playing gigs, frankly, right? But if you are a painter standing somewhere and painting, if you are a poet doing a reading, you know, if you are a company having meetups with your peeps, right? So yeah, you got to do that face-to-face, real connection. Yes.
So what are the advantages of organic online?
Very little, in my opinion, about webcasting concerts. I don't think, and I just, that's sort of a personal opinion, and others may have a difference. And I'm basing this on the fact that no one has been successfully able to do this in a business way, and lots of people have tried. We're going to put cameras up at a club, so you don't have to go. You guys and I do not like this. God damn it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Out. Both of you. Out. I mean, what was not clear about when he's not here? No, I walked you down. I tried to do it gently and everything else. Get out and just be really grateful that I'm in a good mood and I'm not flunking you. So no one has been able to successfully do the webcasting thing and get any number of people to tune in. You two did. And if you're you two, go ahead. But nobody's been able to do that. I mean, I just don't see it. Maybe you have, why? Because it lacks the experience. I mean, you're watching on a computer screen or even on TV and webcast. It's just, I don't know. Do you guys like to tune in to concerts online? Sorry? Very last resort. Even bands you really, really love. I love this band called the Drive-By Truckers, and they webcasted something, and I was like, I'd kind of rather listen to the record, because it's like the audio's not good, the video's not good, and I'm watching them, and they're doing their thing, but it's not the same, I think. Is that consistent with how you feel, or do you have a different feeling? Because I think this is an emergent thing that we just haven't yet figured out.
I've never watched the concert.
And that's a key point. You're in a band, right? So never, ever ask your customers to do something that you wouldn't do. I think that's usually good advice. So sending people saying, do this, would you do that? Because that's what advertisers do. They treat us like we're not, you're going to go buy this car and finance this thing and be happy. And it's like, well, no, we're not. So don't ask them to do stuff that you wouldn't do. And I don't think we figured webcasting out. And I think people put an inordinate amount of time trying to. And it's not cheap, by the way. Now, I will make a caveat. I think the idea of once you get a bunch of these followers and stuff and going, you know what? We're going to pop on Ustream or something and talk to our fans and take some questions and stuff. I think that's cool, right? And you do it casually, informally, and short, and maybe you bang out a song or two. But I just don't think we're there where you could say, okay, we're playing a concert, and you know what you definitely can't do. If you pay us $5, you get to... Would you do that? Yeah.
Something cool I heard about, I'm not sure who did this, but some bands filmed themselves and put them on chat roulette.
Yeah. Ben Folds did. A bunch of people doing it. Yeah. Go ahead.
What about Live Abbey Road?
With that series or whatever it is that working? And what is it exactly? And candidly, I know the name, but I haven't seen it.
It's in Abbey Road, and they pretty much film a band's performance, but there's no audience.
So, but that's, and is it only online or is it on TV too or something?
It's on TV.
Yeah, so that's different. I mean, look, we have a long history going back to Ed Sullivan or before of people watching stuff on TV. That's an artificial thing, and people sort of have expectations there. I just don't think people have been able to sort of capture that online. But it doesn't, look, I stay up or DVR Letterman if some band's on that I want to see. I'll watch Austin City Limits sometimes. But there's a lot of production value there and in a certain thing. So this isn't a binary thing, and I'm not claiming to have the answers. All I'm saying is observationally, sticking a webcam in a club doesn't seem to be doing it yet. And there may be exceptions. Yeah. Yeah, see, and this is where I think people really, the first rule of holes, if you're in one, stop digging, right? And I think that this happens a lot. People think, okay, we did the webcam thing, nobody watched, but now if we spend a lot of money to make it really, really great, I just don't think so. People, and you guys are really the class of people that have really determined this. It ain't, and I know I just said this in terms of TV quality, but online it doesn't seem to be about quality. In other words, people will watch a video of a drunk cat 1 million times. It was shot on a flip camera, very flippery, or what? Flippery? Very, jiggery. Just saying words. And it doesn't matter. We don't care that much about it. So I would not recommend going, well, we're going to shoot in high def and put 3 cameras and edit it and all that. Really? That's the best use of your time and money? So you've got to weigh out these opportunity costs. What else could you do with that time and money that might have a higher return? And I think you can come with a lot, in my opinion. Yeah.
I think the problem with webcasts is that it's only live. Like, you couldn't rewatch it, right? Like, because people have to be online.
Well, I mean, I don't think it feels live anyway. I think that's part of the problem. You feel like there's this wall between you, and then I agree with that. Then you stick it up and you archive it, and people just go, you know.
I feel like it's different if you record it and then you put it on YouTube. Because that's different because you can like watch as many times.
Well, that's
But
interesting,
if
too.
it's webcast, then you have to like be online at a certain time.
Which we don't like to do, as you know, you guys illustrate repeatedly. Holding your attention for any period of time is really hard. Yeah.
I was just going to say that your point about how it doesn't feel live, I would spend my time to watch these live videos if I want to see a concert.
Go see
them. Feel and see the concert.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing is I think a lot of bands, like when they can't do a good live show, but they can do a good studio album, I lose a lot of faith in them. I don't
Well, but and play that out not just in terms of music, but just in terms of authenticity generally.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel that that band is somehow inauthentic, and we like authenticity, even with the warts and all, right? Tom Waits says, you know, I need a little meat on my bone, right? Go ahead.
What about like concert films? Is that sort of more along the lines of what you're saying about watching bands on television?
Depends on the band.
Because I know I may be an exception, but like
Well, you're wearing a yes shirt, so you're definitely an exception. You're exceptional. Go ahead. Not because of yes, but just as an individual. The beard, maybe. Go ahead.
but I might be an exception in the fact that like a lot of bands that I like don't necessarily tour down here in the South, so I don't get to see them live. And the bands that I'm really into, like if they come out with a concert film, or even if they did a webcast, if I think they make money off it,
Oh, dude, I'm with you, man. I mean, you know, I bought the Hold Steady DVD. I've got Tom Petty. I mean, there's certain things. Now, I can't say I sit and watch them over and over again, but, you know, there's no absolutes here. I think that it's hard to point to an example of a successful webcast in a club, though there probably is one. Tour videos and those types of things have been around forever. We're comfortable with that on a certain level. Advertising, marketing, whatever, is all about meeting our needs. At some point, we have a need where we want to watch a concert video. I can't explain why.
what do you think is
It's not going to work for a new band, but go ahead.
or is there a difference between like a concert film and a webcast? I mean,
Is there a difference between what now?
like a concert film or webcast? Do you think there's
Oh,
some
yeah.
sort of fundamental difference?
I think it's how we perceive it. I know that's weird and psychological, and I can't really give you more than anecdotal stuff on that. This is a conversation. I mean, we're in sort of uncharted territory. But certainly watching it in a theater is different. I mean, that This Is It thing that Jackson did, people went, you know. Rattle and Hum, people went. I don't know. It's a good point, but yeah, there is a difference. There's absolutely a difference.
I'm a little confused as to why it doesn't seem like it's really catching on. I mean, I don't really know much about like bands webcasts, so it's not something that I pay a lot of attention to, but it seems like if people are interested in concert films, then a webcast would sort of be like taking
It does, doesn't it? And this is why countless companies have invested countless dollars trying to do it. And again, there may be exceptions to this, and I'm pretty knowledgeable in this area because I deal with it a lot. I don't think anybody's done it. Not to say it can't be done, we just haven't found that sweet spot. Yeah. You got a Pink Floyd shirt. Are you guys buddies? Okay. Do you swap shirts? Could you swap shirts now? Go ahead.
What do you think about like releasing live shows? Like, I know some bands.
Depends on the band.
Like,
Your men in Pink Floyd can probably pull that off. Pearl Jam can pull that off. Fish can pull that off very well. I don't know that I need 35. You tell me. With a lot of bands, their live show is essentially their album, and that may be okay once or twice, but Kings of Leon, do you want 35 Kings of Leon shows? Do you want one Kings of Leon show? Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, is there's this website called iClips, which they basically just stream jam bands.
And jam bands is a very instructive little thing. Jam bands have been doing this long before there was this. Jam bands do the community thing very, very well. Jam bands share information. Jam bands share fans. Jam bands give stuff to fans, right? Jam bands build a whole context full of patchouli and mushrooms and whatever, you know? Fucking nightmare. But they, you know, how else could you listen to the music? And then, look, I did a side project of Fish, I distributed String Cheese Incident, whatever. I'm a fan of a lot of, well, fan's maybe not the right word. I respect some of this stuff. I like the Allman Brothers. You're so mad at me. Oh, okay. So, well, nugs.net. Look, I mean, I work with Wolfgang's Vault. I'm very familiar with the importance of live concerts, you know, but a lot of it has to do with context. In the jam, you guys should, whether you like jam bands or not, hip-hop guys, punk does the same thing. Not anymore so much, but punk in like the 70s and 80s, as anarchic as they were, I mean, the Clash, I will talk about the Clash all day long, they used to build little bonfires and literally Strummer would sit there and bring the fans and talk to them. Everybody thinks it was just the jam bands that are nice to their fans. The Clash talked to every fan that waited around every night. Drove poor Mick Jones insane because he was a rock star. But Joe Strummer, and when you're out over spring break enjoying a non-adult beverage, unless you're over 21, raise a toast to St. Joe Strummer, okay? He was our only decent teacher. So, you know, there's stuff to be learned from these other genres. I'll check out this iClips thing, but I think part of it is the context. I interrupted you. Were you done?
Like, for a lot of it, it would be like, if you've gone to a show and you really enjoyed that show, then you want to be able to listen to it over again.
Sometimes, and that hence bootlegs, right? I mean, I've got a collection of Dylan bootlegs that you wouldn't believe, right? But that's Bob.
It's about like quality though, too. I mean, like,
I got some Dylan bootlegs where you can't hear much, but there's something within the static that may, you know, I don't know if it's just about quality. Sometimes. That's why a lot of bootleg stuff is FLAC and all that crap. I don't know why you need a FLAC recording of a microphone that's held up. Yeah. Yes?
Well, like, and what you guys are talking about, like, and especially with bootlegs and everything, fans, of course, do that all the time. Do bootlegs like Sonic Youth and Monsters have very loyal following.
Traders. Yeah, well, that's part of this.
And but what I think, like, when it comes to, like, the concert recordings, like, and everything, I think I view this kind of more as historical documents
Okay.
than anything else. And like Nine Inch Nails does too, but Nine Inch Nails released it themselves. And
As they should. So does Fish. So, yeah.
great. I mean, it's just like they use it as a promotional thing more than as a.
Well, I think we can all sort of agree at this point that all recordings are free and promotional. They're promoting something else. We're not paying for these, really. Well, this has been a good conversation. I'm not sure, you know, hopefully it's instructive on some level. So the right attributes, and this speaks to everything that we're talking about. You got to have this sort of authentic voice. You have to have also an authentic voice. What you should focus on is an authentic voice. Has anybody written authentic voice 3 times yet before they realize that? And speaking of Twitter, you know, and again, I guess this isn't a lesson on Twitter. My point's in bringing this up, those of you who know Twitter, so you retweet stuff from others. I look forward eagerly to the day when I never have to say the word Twitter again, right? But what it represents is a very well-articulated technological example of the authentic voice, the conversation. And so when you retweet someone, you're basically giving somebody a what, right? And when you respond to somebody, you're having a conversation. You got to do this in all your markets, right? You can't halfway do this stuff. You can't set this stuff up and say, we're going to do this as a band, throw that out there, or an author or a business, and then stop. Your customers will hate you for it. The wrong attributes are in an authentic voice. Lying, right? The wrong attributes are using Twitter or any of these things as an RSS feed. What's an RSS feed? Okay, so an RSS feed is a way for you just to subscribe, stands for really simple syndication, subscribe to various, you know, blogs or websites, and then they just get sucked into your RSS reader without you having to go to the sites themselves, right? And so why I say you can't do this is because that's a PR release, press release. That's just pushing out. So if all you're doing with any of your sort of tools, your marketing tools is, hey, we got a gig. Hey, we just dropped a new single. Hey, we did this. You're using it the wrong way. Ask questions. And when you do, respond. Hey, what songs are you guys listening to now? And when they respond, make a mixtape of those songs that they responded to and put that on your blog. Send us photos from the show. When they send you photos, create a space on your website and put those photos up, because what are those people going to do? They're going to look at them, but what else are they going to do? Tell their friends, hey, look, I got a picture up on your website. And that gives you a chance to make them fans. Facebook, again, just some real tools. This is real, just sort of practical stuff. You can connect your Twitter to your Facebook so that when you update your Twitter status, it automatically updates your Facebook status. You got to be a little careful of this. There are ways to not have it be automatically. Again, respond, respond, respond. A big part of Facebook, whether we like it or hate it or whatever, it is the internet for most people. It's the internet. That and, porn, I guess, right? They go onto Facebook and they spend all their time there. So again, let's not ask people to do something you yourself wouldn't do. You guys spend, most of you, all of you, a lot of time on Facebook. You guys don't spend a lot of time on artist websites. Some of you do. Most of you don't. You have to build a presence on Facebook and then gradually give people reasons to go to your site. Yes?
Well, so I personally try to avoid using Twitter and Facebook for development as possible.
Fine. Why?
But then I realized, I have a little organization that I'm trying to start, and I realize that there are most people on campus that do use it, so I'm then going to be going against what I normally wouldn't do, but I know that other people are doing it.
So your values don't align and you're feeling you're being forced to use technology that you personally don't like.
I'm doing that. It's just, I guess I would have to, if I really wanted to do what you're saying, I'd have to allot a good amount of time on Facebook and try to keep up with all the people.
Good amount of time, I'd say you can do everything that I listed up there in an hour a day. If you can't find that hour a day, and to your initial point, you have to find ways to use this technology that does align with your values. I don't think, sadly, that you can ignore it. I kind of wish you could, but I don't see a good alternative to it yet. I'm waiting for it, and it will emerge. But right now, if you're sort of starting at the ground level, you have to go where the people are. Right now, the people across demographics, by the way. This isn't just us. The fastest growing demographic on Facebook is people 40 and up, right? And what are they doing? With whom? Their high school friends and stuff. Absolutely right. So they're on there too, right? And this is why companies are getting deeply interested in this. So asking those people to get off of Facebook and go somewhere else is going to be really hard. They've already gathered on this place. Give them incentive, give them value to go somewhere else, and they will. But you got to find them there and make it your own as much as you can. I'll share it with you guys, but I met some guy at South by Southwest who showed me the coolest Facebook thing I've ever seen, where you can actually customize your Facebook thing in a real meaningful way. Because you can do it a little bit, but this is like, I said, is Facebook going to allow you to do this? Like, yeah, it's free. It's called Root Music or something. I'll try to bring it next time, do a little demonstration. But so you can start to make these things. But I'm with you. I mean, a lot of times it just feels unnatural, and sadly, my advice to you is to try and make it feel natural.
Well, it's not that natural. It's just
You don't like it.
I feel like people don't. Facebook is used for like networking, but a lot of times it's like people are updating their profile like, oh, I ate a tuna sandwich and it was tasty. And it's like, why do I care? Like, that's what most of Twitter is to me.
Yeah, you don't care unless you are what? A tuna sandwich maker. And okay, if you really want to know the secret of what's going to happen with Facebook, right? I don't know if it'll be this year or when, but at a certain point, they're going to institute a search function where you're going to search for a tuna sandwich, and you're going to see returns of your friends who have talked about a tuna sandwich, and you're going to know decisively where to go get the best tuna sandwich because of that. Because it's your friend that you know, and you know that this person really is an expert on tuna sandwich, and he or she has talked about this famous tuna sandwich restaurant, and you're going to go, I'm going to go there. And Google is not going to be able to compete with that, because when you type tuna sandwich into Google, you're going to get 3 or 4 paid ads for tuna, and then you're going to get the Google robots returns on tuna, and which are you going to trust more? And this is why Facebook does not allow Google to index the site. They do allow them to index users. You can find users on Google, but they allow it to go no deeper than that. And this is why Facebook owns the planet. Google?
No, on Facebook.
In Facebook you can. They're going to refine it.
No, they're just gonna.
They're going to refine it. Yeah, no, you can. You can. So there's, and this is why I say I know that that's where they're going. This goes back to your point. YouTube, Ustream. Look, people are on it. People. The reason why there's only one reason why Google bought YouTube, and it was because people were searching for videos, and Google has to own search. It's why Google tried to buy Twitter, and Evan Williams wouldn't sell it to Twitter because he had already sold Blogger to Twitter, and Google screwed it up so much. Google has to be able to search everything, so they bought YouTube. Again, all of the message that you should be taking away from this is to use these external things, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Ustream, or whatever, to push people back to you. You have to own the channel, not Facebook, not Twitter, not YouTube, but you can use these things. They're free. It's like people saying, come on. I mean, it's kind of crazy in a way that we just get to use these things. Because believe me, people would pay for it, right? Use these to push it back. And this goes back to authenticity. Is it possible for an artist to do very well doing videos, live or otherwise? Absolutely. If they have that right voice or context. You could argue that that idiot is a very popular comedian that was, oh, come on. Sorry? Yeah, thank you. I can't believe you pulled that out of the hat because I never would have thought of it, but thank you. You could argue that Dane Cook kind of was the first to do this, be sort of an internet guy that then transferred it over. But it can be done. But you have to have a voice, an authentic voice. This is that. Goals, right? Determine your baseline traffic. If you're not familiar with Google Analytics, become familiar with Google Analytics. Right? I'm not going to do a lecture on Google Analytics. Some of this you have to do, right? And then you can start seeing what of these things is actually correlating with visitors. If you've got lots of Facebook people and you say, come to my site to get a free song or whatever, and nobody does, you need some work on Facebook. If you do it on Twitter and everybody comes, you're doing good. You can start seeing what we call in business the theory of constraints. Theory of constraints means that in any system there's always going to be something that's not functioning the way it should be. It's a bottleneck, right? And so you turn your attention to that bottleneck, that thing that's not functioning. You open that bottleneck and what happens? Bottleneck somewhere else emerges. And management is always running from one bottleneck to another, opening it up, and you try and reduce variance and open as much. You never can. You never can completely do it. Toyota. Again, measurements, right? More and more measurements. Just going to hustle through this. Straddle, we've talked about this. Online strategy. You got to play gigs. You got to do poetry readings. You got to do meetups with your fans. You got to then take pictures of those things, videotape them, do whatever, post them up. Even though we've sort of killed the dead horse of video concerts, if it's cheap and easy, do it. My concern was if it's going to cost a fortune, whoever was talking about high def, don't. But sticking a camera up there, maybe you edit it down to one song and then throw that up on the video, people dig that. Or maybe you take a live recording of the song and at the concert you hand out cards and say, anybody that's at this show, send us an email and we'll send you a mixed version of one of these songs. Do that. That connects your online and your offline. You got to do it. Social shareable objects, what is it that you got to have a thing. Anybody buy the Apple, the Beatles Apple with the USB stick in it? Anybody know what I'm talking about? No. Let's see if I can come up with another. Vinyl. Vinyl has become a shareable object. There are people that buy vinyl that don't even have record players. What do they do with it? Put it on the wall. They share it. Right? You got to come up with something. Right? I thought the one thing, that guy G-Eazy, right? I thought one of his genius moves was that gold chain thing. I don't think he does that anymore. That was a killer shareable object. I would have preferred that he had also connected one of the strands with a USB stick that had the music on it. Somebody came up to me, it might have been in this class, and said, do you think it's a good idea to give, there's some jam band or party band or something, to give bottle openers that have a USB stick with the album on it away? Yes, I do. It's a killer idea. Yes. So you got to have something that people do what with? Check this out. I'm going to buy one. Right? You got to build a sort of architecture of participation. It's a big phrase, but it means that you have to sort of share the burden with people. Find a way for your fans to be part of the building process. We like this. The stuff we love, we're mavens. We want to share it. Give them tools, right? Don't worry about this. This, worry about. Get people talking. Get people involved. Ask questions and answer them. Markets are conversations, the voice from your purpose idea. Remember, class 1 must permeate your company. Social media tools are just that. They facilitate conversation. They allow you, Christoph, once you've figured out your voice, you're going to be much more comfortable spreading it on these tools. You will. When it's inauthentic, you're going to feel like a jackass. Not you, one. You're selling anticipation and memory. Find stuff that relate to this. Don't let people go home from shows empty-handed. Give them something, right? Find your mavens. If you're only going to commit to this a little bit, don't bother. Right? All right, then. You guys know who I am. Take care.